So you need a fresh avocado there. That's number one. And you need a good sharp kitchen knife for cutting up that avocado pit. So everybody should have a copy of this, but I'll just take you through it really quickly. You need a little bit of fresh water that you're going to be simmering your avocado pit in. You'll also want to have a little bit of bicarb soda, a little bit of baking soda. And this baking soda is alkaline and there's natural acidity. The tannins are acid. And so this will just help neutralize that. Now, we're not going to get into too much chemistry and trying to make something which is purely pH neutral, but this will help with that. Then you will also need some sort of a strainer or sieve just to strain your ink at the end. Look, a coffee filter, a tea strainer, a basic kitchen strainer like this, anything that'll strain your ink will work really well for that. And then the other final things you'll need, a good small saucepan. The smaller, the better, because you really want to concentrate the liquid there with the bits of your avocado pit inside it. You don't want it to spread out too much. You want it to really soak and steep there. And you'll actually see as we get to the end of cooking this, I'll actually take that pan and I'll tilt it a little bit too, just as the water is cooking off to really concentrate and get that in there. So you'll need that and then just something to stir your avocado. I'll keep a little teaspoon both for adding the baking soda to it, but also for fishing the skins out, which I'll talk to you a bit about in just a minute. What you're gonna do there, when you've got your avocado pit ready, take your knife and just really give it a good press and start cutting it into smaller pieces. Just keep cutting it almost like you would cut an onion. So I'm going to cut it first into quarters like that, and then I'm going to further cut it down until I have 8 pieces. All right. Now, I prefer to cut it into about 16 pieces, but for this demo today, I'll keep it fairly coarse so that it's easy for you to see. All right. Now, once I've cut it into those about 8 pieces like that on my cutting board, I'm then going to add that to my pan. And then you want to add about 200 mils of water. You don't need a great deal of water. You don't have to submerge those pieces of the avocado pit completely. You just need enough water in the bottom of your pan there that it's covering maybe half of each one of those pieces. Ultimately, you're going to simmer it for about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe as much as 25 minutes, and you're going to reduce almost all of that water down. You'll get rid of all but about 15 mils of that water. So if you add a little bit more water, you'll just cook it a little bit longer. If you add a little bit less, you might cook off too much of it too quickly and have to add a little bit more. So depending on the size of your pan, you'll get a sense of how much water you need to add to make sure that there's a good bit covering the bottom of your pan and that those bits of avocado pit are sitting in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on my little stove here off to the side, and I'm going to let that cook. I'm going to take my little bicarb soda and I'm just going to take about a teaspoon there and I'm just going to sprinkle that into the water there with my bits of avocado. All right, and that's all you need to do is just add a little bit of that sodium carbonate, soda ash, washing soda will work for this, or sodium bicarb, which most people have in their kitchens, will work really well for that too. All right, so I'm going to put that on the stove now. I'm going to lock it down. I'm going to turn it on. And then I'm going to try to remember to keep my eye on it so it doesn't cook off too much. I'm going to turn it to a low heat there on my stove. And now I'm just going to let it simmer. And I'm just going to let it simmer. And every once in a while, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to give it a bit of a stir there with my spoon. All right, so if you can see it there, you can already see that the color is starting to change, and that color is already going pink, and it will get darker and darker as that water cooks down. But you'll also see now that the skins are starting to come off of those, and if I just touch them, the skins will just fall away from those pieces of avocado. So I'm not going to take the time right now to go through and fish out all of those skins, but if you're doing this at home, this is the stage where you could actually do that. Take those skins off and they'll fall away really, really easily. In fact, some people will take the entire pit at the beginning and just blanch it really quickly and then peel off the whole skin even before they cut it up. All right, so I'm going to put that back on the heat. And I'm actually going to reduce my heat even a little bit more. I just want that simmering very, very lightly. And look how we're doing now. Can you all see that? Beautiful. You can see how it's just turning. If it starts to look almost like you're cooking beets, then you're doing it correctly. Except that this will make an ink that's much, much better, much more stable than beet-based inks. Beet inks don't hold their color very well. So I'm going to keep that going over there. It's still cooking down. Nice. Now, I've reduced probably about half of the water. And what I would do now at this stage is I would continue, let me move that microphone over so it's closer. I would continue to reduce that even further because I still probably have 60 or 70 mils of water in there, maybe even a little bit more. So that's still got to cook down. And again, you are going to keep cooking that down till you get to about 15 mils, which is about the amount that I have in that little glass container right there. So I might, at this stage, since I already have some avocado ink that's made up previously, I might just put this to the side and turn off the heat so that I don't forget about it while we do this next drawing. And then I'll show you how to strain it after we finish this first drawing. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to strain my avocado ink into this. All right. So I've got my little strainer here, my kitchen strainer, which I can just hold on top as best as I can with one hand so y'all can see this. There we go. I'm just going to put it on like that. There we go. So I'm going to hold that strainer there. Now I've got my ink, which I could have cooked down again even a little bit further, but you'll see I'm just going to go ahead and pour that ink in there. Nice. And capture all those pieces of now that avocado, which now should just look absolutely blood red for you. All right, so I've strained that. That will also strain out any of the skins. And now I've got a beautiful little concentrate of that avocado ink that's left behind, which I can now pour into another container. Don't have to keep it in this Pyrex. I can pour it into another container, and then I can use that with a brush, or I can use that with a dip pen.